So good morning and welcome to Women's Hour. Today we're going to be looking at parenting. Now, before we look at, this general or this big topic called parenting, I just want us to narrow it down to parenting styles. Parenting styles. Everyone has a parenting style, whether you want to acknowledge it or not, whether you believe it or you don't believe it, you're operating using a particular style. Parenting style just refers to the approaches that parents use in raising their children. It's as simple as that. What approach are you using as a parent to raise your children? Now, there are four main types of parenting styles, each with its own benefits and drawbacks. Now, these four parenting styles are the authoritative, the authoritarian or disciplinarian, the permissive or indulgent, and the neglectful or uninvolved. Now, as we go on, I'm going to, tell you another one. But these four are the four main ones that, we hear about and people talk about all the time. So we're going to start off with the authoritative parenting. Now, authoritative parenting is where you understand that you're the one in charge, yet it is important for you to listen and to respond to your children's needs, whatever they may be. Now, this is the sort of parenting style where you're leading by example and helping your child or your children to learn from experiences. Now, it is not a case of do as I say only. It is a case of do as I do, because you are doing what is right, so you want them to mirror what is right. Now, some characteristics of authoritative parenting are, there's a lot of warmth, there is high control, the parents set rules and there are expectations. But all these are done in a responsive way and in a nurturing environment. Now, the parents have the duty to instill importance of responsibility and discipline. So we're not saying, it is, just do whatever you like. We're going to come into that. But authoritative parenting looks at all this. Yes, you're there for them, but then you have expectations. You set there are boundaries. Let me put it that way. Now, some of the benefits of authoritative parenting are they promote self-discipline. Your children learn to manage their behavior, their emotions in a balanced way. Also, it builds resilience in the children. Another one it fosters high self-esteem. Because they are working or they're growing up in a supportive environment, it encourages children to develop confidence in themselves, and they are generally happy and successful. Another, benefit is it fosters, very, very good academic performance, because the structure is combined with warmth. It helps the children perform better in school. If something is not going on well, they know they can always come back home and discuss it with you as a parent. They also have strong social skills. They learn empathy. They learn respect. They learn to communicate positively. They are learning these things from the parents. They are also able to clearly express their emotions. So they're not just going to bottle it up and then one day it's going to explode. No, they learn to express their emotions. So we've looked at a few of the benefits of authoritative parenting. However, there are drawbacks. Okay, there are drawbacks, albeit they're not as many as the benefits. Thank goodness for that. But if we look at some of the drawbacks, authoritative parenting can be quite demanding because you need to be on ground to do the things that you want to do or that you should be doing. So it is time consuming. It requires a lot of patience, from parents. And if I tell you one thing, I can tell you, for sure that a lot of parents these days are not patient. But, authoritative parenting requires patience. It may also be difficult. It may be a bit difficult for parents because it requires balancing strictness. You're trying to be firm, but you're also trying to be nice. You're thinking, I don't really know which way I should be going, which can be challenging for some. So when you look at authoritative parenting, it does have its benefits, but it also has its drawbacks. Drawbacks not as many as the benefits. So let's look at authoritarian parenting, or like some of us know it, the disciplinarian. I'm sure some of us grew up, knowing that our father was a disciplinarian or our mother was a disciplinarian. Let's look a bit more into it. So characteristics of, authoritarian parenting is low warmth, and high control. You will do as I have said you should do. Do as I say. No room for negotiation, no room for discussion. Whatever it's, it's either my way or the highway. So parents set strict rules and expect obedience, often without explanation. And when children do things, they're very, very heavy-handed on them without actually explaining to them why these things are happening, or how could we have made this maybe a bit better, or how could we have avoided this? There's really no room for negotiation. You're telling the child, you're not asking your child, what you want them to do. You're telling them. And like I said, it is the do as I say, not do as I do approach. Now, again, with this, there are benefits and there are drawbacks. So let's look at, the benefits. Clear expectations, so children know exactly what is expected of them. Now, whether they're doing it from a place of love or a place of respect or a place of rebellion is a different story. Children learn to be well behaved, even if they are packaging themselves, like, I don't want to get in trouble, so let me just do what I have been told to do. This style may lead to the child, who follows rules more strictly. I have been told not to drink, Coke on Friday. So shall it be. Nothing like, oh, mommy, but please, can I have? No, 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 no. You have been told you will do it. So they don't even come to ask, oh, please, can I have? No, because the answer is going to be a no. Now, another one is safety. Because of the firm rules, children, these children that are raised with this style of parenting usually may avoid risky behaviors. So they're not risk takers because they just want to be in that comfort place where they're not getting in trouble with their parents. So let's look at some of the drawbacks. Now, one of them is low self-esteem. The lack of emotional warmth can make that child or the children feel unloved or unsupported. And like I said before, it can lead to rebellion. As the child grows, they rebel against the strictness and the do as I say, don't do as I do approach. It can lead to rebellion. What about poor social skills? The lack of open communication can hinder the development of empathy and social understanding. So the children don't really know why I have been told not to do this. Well, I didn't even have time to question my parents when they told me not to do it. They just said, don't do it. And I said, yes, mom, or I said, yes, dad. How are you helping them develop their social skills? When they go out there, do they know how to communicate? Or do they just, they just told the line of, I have been told to do this, so I'm not even going to question it because I know in the past, questioning it has led me into trouble. So I don't want to get into trouble. So that's the authoritative, authoritarian parenting. Now let's look at permissive parenting. Permissive, as the word says, permissive, allowing everything, where everything goes. The children are in control, or the child is in control. This usually happens to parents that are busy. So they feel guilty for not spending enough time with their child or children. So they need to make up. Okay, they need to make up. So again, characteristics of permissive parenting are they're there, they're loving, but there's no control or very little control. The parents are indulgent and they are lenient. They rarely set firm boundaries. They rarely put things in place. So no boundaries, no rules. Now, some of them actually even try to set the rules, but they rarely enforce them. So can you see? Permissive parenting. So the children get whatever they want. I don't want to do this, mommy. Okay, that's fine. If you don't want to do it, just leave it. I don't want to go over there, daddy. Okay, if you don't want to, just stay. So there are no rules. And even when the rules are set, they are not enforced. Are there benefits? Of course, there are benefits, but again, there are drawbacks. So let's look at, one of the a few of the benefits. Strong emotional connection. The child feels loved and supported. They may even have a close relationship with their parents, believe it or not, in this permissive parenting style. So when you look at it, they're like, because they're allowed to get away with whatever they want to get away with, sometimes they read that as love. no control. I have the freedom. I can go out and stay, I can stay out with my friends for as long as I want to stay. No one is going to question me. Why? Because my mom said I can, or because my dad said I can. Creativity, the lack of strict rules can allow the children to explore and express themselves freely. They can do whatever they want. Nobody is stopping them. Nobody is asking questions of where have you been? How long did it? No, 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 no. We don't have time for all that. So in a sense, it allows them to be creative because they can explore. Now, let's look at some of the drawbacks. Lack of discipline. The children may struggle with self-control, and this can obviously lead to behavioral problems. Another thing it can do is it gives them this entitlement mentality. So they have entitlement issues. Children expect to get what they want without consequences. Whatever I want is what I get, leading to difficulties later in life. Leading to difficulties later in life. Now, permissive parenting. Another drawback is poor academic performance. Without structure, we all know that a lot of people would not do well. And this also has to do with children. So without structure, children might not develop good study habits or respect for authority because they know that when they get in trouble in school, Mommy, can you come to school and come and tell this teacher off? Permissive parenting, what do you do? Whatever they want is what they get. Okay, I'll be at your school, whenever. Or Daddy, somebody said something, blah, 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 and then that is there again. So when you look at things like that, such children, children raised in permissive parenting style, they have no respect for authority because they just think, what I want is what I get. So I don't understand why I'm not getting what I want here. And also that can transfer into their academics. There's also a higher risk of health issues, obesity, because a permissive parent struggled to limit unhealthy things. You've just had a can of Coke, and now you're having something else, and then you're having something else. Why? Because they cannot say no. They don't promote regular exercise. They don't promote healthy sleeping habits. I could go on and on and on. So when you're even saying to that child, make sure you brush your teeth before going to bed, you're on your own because they're not going to listen. Why? Because they have learned to get away with whatever they want to do. Permissive parenting. It leaves me with another one. Neglectful parenting. Neglectful or uninvolved. Now, this one, there is an absolute disconnect between the parent and the child. So let's look at some of the characteristics of neglectful parenting. No warmth, no control. Parents are disengaged, or like I said, they are uninvolved in their child's life. Now, can I also say at this point that there might be a reason. There might be a reason why, the parent is like this. So let's look at a parent that has, for example, mental health challenges, or a parent that has substance abuse problems. How are they going to be able to care very well for that child's physical or emotional needs consistently? So yes, neglectful parenting or uninvolved parenting, as we can see, is not the best. But can we also look at it from the other angle, that there might be a reason, in which case the child needs support. So maybe support from the extended family. I was watching a program recently, and the boy said his mom died when he was 2 years old, and his dad was nowhere to be found. So he had to be brought up by his grandmother. So as you can see, that child could have been a neglected child, but then the grandmother stepped in. So there was support there for that child. So I just want to, give a balanced view on this neglectful parenting. What does it do? One of the major benefits, independence. Children learn to become self-sufficient and learn to solve their problems on their own. So because they have gone through, life has happened to them, if I can put it that way, one adversity after the other. So what do? They just learn to become self-sufficient, and they learn to solve their problems in whatever way Sometimes it might be right, sometimes it might not be. So let's look at, some of the drawbacks. Emotional neglect. I mean, this one will not be complete if we don't talk about emotional neglect. Children they often feel unloved. They often feel unloved, which can lead again to emotional and behavioral problems. And then you've got, poor social and academic outcomes. Without the guidance and the support that the child needs, the child is going to struggle with relationships. They're going to struggle with schoolwork. Another one, increased risk of risky behavior. The lack of supervision, for whatever reason, may lead to poor decision-making and dangerous actions being taken by the child. So we've looked at, the 4 major parenting styles that, are out there. But I also want to, talk about another one that is very common, and this is becoming more prevalent in our society. Over-involved parenting. You will not let them breathe. They can't breathe by themselves. They can't look at anything by themselves. They can't do anything by themselves. This person might just, be over-involved. So other names that, can be used for over-involved parenting, they can say they're snow plowing, they can say they're hovering, they're helicopter parents. There are so many names. Basically, we're just saying these parents are overprotective. They are overprotective. Now, over-involved parenting has to do with excessive focus on the child's life and taking an overly active role in managing their child's or their children's experiences. So almost like you cannot experience this thing on your own. I must be there with you. They cannot, they can't make decisions. They have no problem-solving skills. The parents are overly controlling, or they are micromanaging the children, up to the point of shielding them, yes, from any form of discomfort or failure. So these children don't have any resilience. They don't learn to do anything by themselves for themselves because the parents are always there. Excessive control. Now, the parents might insist, for example, on making decisions for their child or their children well into teenage years, or believe it or not, into adulthood. Over-involved parents. Constant supervision. The child or the children has to be monitored or guided in anything they do. There's very little room for independent thought or action. So it's almost like that child has no brain. They can't think. Why? Because it is being done for them. Now, when I talked about, helicopter parents, these ones hover around their child or their children, intervening at the slightest sign of difficulty. The child wants to climb one step. They're already there. Oh, no, let me help you so you don't fall. How is that child going to learn? This child is learning maybe to feed themselves. Oh, no, come, I'll feed you. So no matter what the child is trying to do, over-involved parenting will not allow this child to be. They can never handle things on their own. Think about it. Again, like I have said, overprotectiveness. Parents trying to protect their child from failure, from pain, from challenges. Have you actually thought that this might undermine the child's ability to build resilience or problem-solving skills? Because sometimes if we just take a back seat and just view what is going on, then it would help us know how best to help our children. And like I said also at the beginning, micromanaging, excessively managing your child, they can't do their homework themselves, bring it here, I'm not saying, don't play that role of, have you done it right? Okay, let me have a look at it. But don't micromanage that the child cannot even think. They cannot make mistakes, nothing. They're just in this bubble created by mom and dad. So by the time they're doing extracurricular activities, micromanaging is going on. Who are your friends? Bring them to the house. Yes, we need to know our children's friends, but you don't have to micromanage. No, I don't want you to do this. I want you to do this. Because these things, they grow with them as children. Then they go into teenage years. Then they go into adult years. And then you're wondering why they cannot keep a relationship Why? Because you have never allowed them to build that area of their life. You've never allowed them to develop that skill. So in other words, in as much as you think you have tried to be good, you've actually deprived them of their childhood. So in summary, every parenting style has its strength and weaknesses. We've just, looked through all of that. The authoritative style tends to be the most balanced, fostering both high self-esteem and good behavior. That's the authoritative. Now, the authoritarian parenting can instill discipline, but might also hinder emotional growth. Are you having a word with your children? Are you talking to them? Are you communicating with them? Are you having a laugh? Or is it just, you go by the rules, by the rules, by the rules, by the rules? Then permissive parenting allows for emotional connection, but can result in behavioral issues. You can do whatever you want to do. It's fine by me. Is it really? Then we've got neglectful parenting, which tends to have the most negative outcomes for children. Now, while the intention behind over-involved parenting is often to ensure the child's success or happiness, it can lead to a lack of independence. And I want us to look at this. It can lead to low self-confidence. It can lead to challenges in managing stress or failure. Why? Because they have never developed that area of their life. It can also affect the parent-child relationship by creating a strain, because the child feels, I'm incapable of doing things on my own. Just imagine maybe they're talking in school. Okay, how do you do this? Oh, my mom does it for me. My dad does it for me. That child, after some time, would feel, they might be enjoying it at first, but then after some time, they begin to feel incapable. And then people begin to say, oh, can you not even do this on your own? I can do this on my own. I can put my socks on by myself. I can put my shoes on by myself. I can decide, I want to wear this shirt or this trouser or, this dress. I can make all those decisions. But if a child is being micromanaged by over-involved parents, then you can see that they feel incapable of doing things on their own. I saw this quote and I quite like it. It says, if you did not come from a good family, if you did not come, and it might not be your fault, it could be anything, whatever the reason may be. If you did not come from a good family, please make sure a good family comes out from you. If you did not come from a good family, please make sure a good family comes out from you. It's so important. So let's not allow ourselves to, let our children replay some of the things that we grew up with, that we knew were not appropriate. But, oh, well, that's how I grew up, so that's how they are going to grow up. We shouldn't do that. I'll leave us with these two scriptures. One of them is from Ephesians chapter 6, and I'm reading from verse 1 to 4. I'm reading from the New Living Translation. It says, and I read, children, obey your parents, because you belong to the Lord. For this is the right thing to do. Verse 2, honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise. If you honor your father and mother, things will go well for you, and you will have a long life on the earth. Verse 4, fathers as well as mothers, do not provoke your children to anger by the way you treat them. Rather, bring them up with the discipline and instruction that comes from the Lord. And that leads me to the second scripture, which we all know, Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. And I'm reading this one from the Passion Translation. It says, dedicate your children to God and point them in the way that they should go. And the values they've learned from you will be with them for life. So it then becomes that do as I do. What do you see me do? You see me walking in the line of God's word. You dedicate your children to God. You point them in the way that they should go. The values you have taught them, the values they have learned from a young age. What do? It doesn't depart from them. The values they have learned from you will be with them for life. If the values are good, then it would be good. But what if the values are not good? So today is the day to make a change, so that of the truth, you can then say to yourself that I have trained up my child or my children in the way that they should go. And even when they are old, they will not depart from it. Why? Because you have imbibed that into them. You have instilled that into them. So it's not going to change by the grace of God. So with all this, that we've discussed, we've just looked at parenting styles. I want you to go back and speak to the Lord, that Lord, help me in my parenting style. Help me to be a good parent. Help me to do the things that only you will be proud of. And I pray that as you do that, I pray that the Lord will give you wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in all that you do in raising your children in the way of the Lord. God bless.